Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Getting Started with Klevu SDK workshop. This is a webinar where you can speak directly to us. Also, in the People tab, you can see who's here, but it should just be kind of first names. And just so you know, this is being recorded. But if you want to ask questions during the webinar, you can just chime in. We want this to be a workshop. But also there is a private questions tab on the bottom of your screen, the bottom right. So if you did want to ask a question privately, you can absolutely do that. You can also ask questions in the chat, and you can use these fun emojis as well, which will show us when you really like something or don't like something. We want this to be really interactive. So yeah, welcome again. We've got quite a few on. I'm just going to give it maybe a minute or so just to get everybody here. While we wait, I'll just quickly introduce myself, and we will have Juha introduce himself as well. My name is Rachel Tonner. My name is Rachel Tonner. I am Global Head of Marketing for Klevu. Here with me today is Juha-Pekka Rajaniemi, who is our lead headless engineer and creator of the SDK. Juha, can you quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, hello, I'm Juha. I've been working on many things in the web for a long time, for the last 20 years, and on enterprise side, on universities in many places, but always been the web technologies and everything related to web. And I have been working on this SDK, and I'm really keen on showing it to you now today. So that's what we're going to do.
Great, thanks, Juha. Before we start, we're just going to run a quick poll just so we can get an idea of kind of who's in the room and what you're interested in. So let me launch the first question. Publish poll. Okay, so what currently is your closest role related to development right now? Are you a developer? Are you an architect? UI, UX? Are you a stakeholder like a merchant or a product owner or a project manager or other? I'll just give you a few minutes to reply.
And can you please not join the stream until you have questions?
Okay. Can you guys see the poll? Juha, can you see it? I've never launched a poll here before.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
You can see the result from the right bottom corner. You can click
Gotcha.
the results.
Awesome. Okay, next question is going to be, if you can only choose one for any reason, whether you'd like to use it, learn it, build the next thing, choose one. React, Vue, Angular, or other.
Looks like React is winning by a lot. Observing other results.
Okay. Next question. This is kind of a classic question. So you can have just two. Which one would you not have? So would you not have cheap? Would you not have good? Would you not have done fast? If you could only have two, which one would you not have? cheap is winning.
Yeah, I think that's a classic, and it tells that you want to create the quality fast.
Yeah. Cool. So fast and good is winning on that one. All right. So thank you for participating there. I'm going to pass over to Juha in a moment, but if you have a question as we go along, please, you can join the stream and, show your face or not. You can ask a question in the questions panel, or you can ask a question in the chat. And yeah, if anybody isn't familiar with Klevu, I think that most people on this call are, but just to give you an idea of what Klevu is. So we're we are a microservice that provides search, category merchandising, product recommendations, and personalization on e-commerce websites. And this workshop is about our new SDK, which makes it easier to build wildly creative front ends with our APIs. So with that, I'm going to pass over to you, Juha. And yeah, hope this is a great session.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. So, straight to the point. So I'm here to introduce you to the Headless Frontend SDK. It's a library built in a Node environment or a JavaScript environment, the ecosystem. And the goal of the project was that our APIs is quite complicated to use already. It has quite lots of business information you need to know before you start building on it. You need to read quite many documentation pages and understand the system quite heavily. So I decided that we need some kind of helping tool. So I created this Klevu Core SDK, which takes some of the hardships of trying to learn the API straight into SDK and make it just faster to build things on top of the Klevu APIs or the Klevu systems. So in the beginning, the idea was that we need to make it work in all the places where JavaScript works. I just heard that the new telescope in the space is running on JavaScript, so maybe Klevu Search could be running on that. I don't know. I don't think that they might need it over there, but still, the idea is that it needs to work in most of the front-end frameworks, all of them basically nowadays, in server-side rendering frameworks, in statics website builders, and it should work also in the classic e-commerce platforms too, in the right way in their own front ends. So in all the places. And how do you do it? I think TypeScript is the thing nowadays. So everything is written in TypeScript. It gives you all the code completion and all the documentation inside the IDEs. So you don't have to go into the documentation, read, trying to remember how things were. And it also gives you quite easy programming API, how to query stuff from the Klevu. And we have quite extensive code examples. So we have React, Vue, Angular, not Angular, but it's coming up, Remix, Vanilla.js, even in Hydrogen version example over there. So you can just copy paste the code and get started on building your custom UIs on any platform or language you wish. So what it is, it's just a layer between the API and the UI. It gives you the tools to create your own UI in any way you wish to. It's just providing JSON as the output. But there is always one thing that's related to fetching data and working with Klevu systems is that we need to have data to our AI systems to learn from the user's actions that what should we recommend or search next or give the better results for these users. So this library gives you the tools to easily give us the data what we need. And it's quite complicated, the data what we need in order to understand the user better. And also the third thing that this thing includes is managing facets. As states a state system that manages facets, because I've noticed that these handling the state in the UI library is usually the most complicated one, and trying to get the state from front end to the back end and trying to keep up the changes in the API calls. It has this system to simplify that a lot. So in this presentation, we're first going to show you the quick search, which means the typical search box you have in the top of the page, the search result page, smart category merchandising, meaning the category page of the e-commerce website. And then I'm going to show you how to do the analytical calls in this SDK. So if you're familiar with the Node and the environment of building things in a Node, just npm install the Klevu core. It's all open source and fully available in the GitHub. There's the URL in the bottom. You can go and start it if you like. And also, we try to keep it as open as possible for you developers and the stakeholders, that what are the issues we are facing, what are the things that we need to change, and what are the things that we are developing next over there. So let's dig into the actual using of the SDK right away. So first thing you need to do is configure your URL and API key. These are things that you can get from the Klevu Merchant Center and the box.klevu.com. And then you just set it in any place in the index.js or TS or index.html. This is the first lines of code you need to run. And then we can fetch this information from any place. And here is the hello world. Let's see. Yes, you can see my cursor. So there are two main things, the Klevu fetch imported from the Klevu core and a search. This is the most basic search function. I call them a query functions, which is placed inside the Klevu fetch. So here is a really simple function that does the search. So this is an asynchronous function called Klevu fetch, and you can put any amount of queries inside the Klevu fetch. And these queries I will show you later, but in this example, we're querying basic search API, finding all the products and the CMS pages and the categories with this string. So we are trying to find hello world. And then we get the results where we need to, because there is multiple queries that you can do in one Klevu fetch. All these queries have an identifier, and it is, in the default case, it's a search, and you will get the results as a JSON in this example. And I will show this to you later on in the VS Code. And if you have any questions, you can ask while I'm showing to you also. And here's the most basic quick search, meaning the search box in the top of the page doing a search. So let's start from the bottom, that you have some kind of search field where you press the button, and then we call, for each button press, we do the suggest function. And usually you should debounce it so that we don't spam our API too much. But in this example, it's really simplified. So we get the search field value. Then you can do your own validations that, okay, let's not search before we have few letters, or you want to change name. If you, in the search term, you want to change red to blue, you can do the string replacement or anything in here. And then we have the Klevu fetch. And here we have two query functions going to the fetch, so suggestions and a search. So the suggestions will try to find search suggestions on a given term. So if you are starting to write RE, okay, in this example, let's put the red. It will then try to suggest red shoes, red sneakers, red something, what is the most commonly searched. So it's giving you these options. And then it's actually doing the search with the term already and trying to guess what are the products the user might be trying to find with the search term. And this is the most basic implementation to get the JSON, and then you can build your own UI on top of this. And we have built quite many different kinds of query functions. So here is an example of trending products. So usually it means that you need to put certain values in the API to get to what's currently trending in a search or in the API. But here we just provide a function called trending products that takes care of everything, and it will return you a trending products result. And we have built quite many of these query functions. Let's see. And yes, you can do multiple of things at one go. So here's an example that you can do multiple searches. And in this example, we're finding a product CMS and category type records from the Klevu fetch at the same go. It means that it goes in one request to the server, and it will return these 3 different results in the one go, and then we can get the results over here. And like I said, everything is in query functions, and there's 2 building blocks into this, what you can do in the Klevu fetch. So there's multiple kinds of queries, and then we have modify functions that modify how the queries work. And this is just a quick run through. I'm going to show it really soon to you after this. And here is the list of queries what we support right now, and then there's more coming up, and you can check them out in the GitHub and in our documentation. You can find merchandising, search CMS pages, or anything using these functions. Hey Dave, do you want to ask a question? Nope. Yeah, and also you can do recommendation queries like similar products and also viewed products. Then we have modifiers that change the way the queries that I just show you. Like if you search for hello world, we can set the list filters that list all the filters that are in the products that the hello world search returned. And there's lots of many things you can do with this. Like if you haven't got enough results, you can then do a fallback query, or you want to boost all the searches that have a keyword, or let's say filter, you want to boost all the research that have color red selected automatically without user interaction. But before we going forward, I'm going to show you the how it's done, how it's coded, really basic examples. So here is my VS Code. This is the GitHub, the repository what we have in the GitHub. You can run it yourself and check this out if you want to. You just need to run npm build in the root of the project and then go in the examples. And then we have a vanilla.js project. It has just the Klevu core imported to it, nothing else. And it's even an old version in here. And then we have a white to build this HTML and the TypeScript into things that browsers understand. And I'm running it here in the terminal in the bottom. So let's do the simplest example. So we have the search here. Let's try searching something. Let's type jeans. And here we can see suggestions. And it's suggesting different kind of jeans. And then we have a list of products that we got with this search. So how this is done, let's go first into this HTML file that we're looking at here. So we have just the input box here, and then we have output pre. And then we have 2 files here. So we have the init script and the quick search. So in the init, we are just giving the URL and the API key of our environment. So we can start doing the search. And then we have the quick search, which we have the reference to this input box. And then like in an example, we're listening to key up event, and then we are doing the fetch. And in this one, I have implemented this really simple debounce function so that we don't call it too to prevent the spamming the API. We clear the output when we start searching always. And here is the actual beef of the whole thing. So we are doing the suggestions and the search to our API with this string what we have typed here. And as you can see, we're getting results. And of course, we can get a little bit more information. Let's remove the records from here and press refresh and then do the search again. Okay, why? Oh, I saved it before it works. Here we can see the whole full JSON result that we have the ID and some meta information, what kind of searches we have done, how long did it take, and all the records, all the filters, and then what kind of functions did we use to create this search. And as this is a TypeScript project, we have quite many different kinds of configuration in this search function. And because we have a TypeScript, we can see right away what kind of configuration we can do. And we can see right away in the documentation here in the editor, what does different things mean? Well, let's try sorting things. Usually it's sorted by relevance, but I want to sort it by ascending prices. And if you press save, we have the price here. Now it should be in order of highest price first, right? We do the search. You see that, okay, now we have more pricier products as first results in the results. And then you can build your own UI on top of this. So you can change these values, anything you wish, and you have all the documentation inside the code editor to how to do it. And as you can see, there's quite many of these things to change how the queries work. And hopefully this would help you to develop on top of the Klevu. That's the whole goal of this SDK. Let's see. The same thing. Let's show the merchandising right away. So here we have the same thing. Let's show the page itself. So we have just the title and the output, and then we have the same init file, and then we have merchandising showing the category pages. So this is even simpler than the last one. We have nothing else than just doing the load function. There's no input fields or anything. We're just fetching all the data related to this category. So we have a query function called category merchandising. And let's see, please show me the documentation. Here we go. It will tell you what kind of parameters you put there and how to use it. And we can see that the first parameter is the category, which we want to get results. And in Klevu, we're using this semicolons to separate the subcategories of. So we want women's bags in this example. Let's put that back there. And then we have some options. And then, like I showed you that you can put any amount of modifiers into this query. So I'm printing these filters, what we get as a result, and the records. So here I'm requesting to give the filters, and here we can see that all the filters that are related to women's bags. We can see that there is a color and there is a size, where most of the stuff are in one size, but there is some bag that has a L and M size. And then we have the actual products. And then we have a pagination, but I'm gonna show it to you later how to use it and how it's related to this. So we can see if we remove the list filters from the request, we don't get any filters in the API, and it's faster to request. And in the same way that if we want to apply some filters, let's say, okay, the code editor is showing, okay, this is how you use it. So let's apply a filter saying, let's first list the filters. I can't remember them. So here they are. So we have a color filter. So let's filter by a color. And we want to filter black only. We should get only black products. Yes, black, black, and these products are black. It would be easier to see the images, but most probably all of these are now black in this result because we have filtering with the black. So let's go back to presentation. Any questions at this point? How does this look like? Any comments? Nothing at this time? Okay, so let's continue. So what you get results, you get this result object that helps you to work with the results. You get the queries by ID, which you have seen already. So you provide the ID of the result, and then you can get the JSON from that ID. And you can also call this next function, which automatically fetches the next result, next page of results. You don't have to provide anything else. Just call this next function, and you will get next. And as a result, you get once again the result of the Klevu fetch, and you get the new next function that you can call, and then you can create the infinite loading UI really easily. And then what we get is this click send events. These are really important. These are the thing that we get the data from the users. So in the case of a search, you will get the search click event. In the case of merchandising, you will get the category merchandising click send event, and then recommendations, you have a recommendation click send event. You need to know which one to use in which case. So if you're requesting a recommendation, you need to use the recommendation click send event. But what it returns you is a function that you can call by giving it only the product ID and the variant ID, which has been clicked, and the SDK will automatically fill everything else. For example, in the case of recommendation, it will tell that, okay, which index of all these recommendation it was clicked, and which recommendation it was that it was clicked, and what kind of filtering or what kind of parameters we had there. And then, so that I'm going to go now back to the VS Code quickly. So here we can see how it works. So this is the same merchandising example. And we get the results, and we get this result object that I was telling you earlier. And you can call it to see what kind of things we can do. And because it was merchandising, it should have this category merchandising click send event defined. First, you need to check it that it's defined in order to use it, but it should be there. And when you call it, you get the new function, which you can, in any place where you have a product that was clicked. So you're in charge of making the events to the Klevu, but we are trying to make it as easy as possible. Now that you have a reference to this click event, you can call it in any place you wish. You can just provide it your ID of the product that was clicked and the category it was on and the variant ID. And that's it. You know, no need to give us anything else, and it will handle everything else. And in this example, we can see that how the next function is used, because there is more results in this search. The next is defined, and we can call the next one, and then we print also that page here. So we have the first results and the next page results. And in the same way, the next result has the next results. So you can continue this indefinitely, making these infinite scroll things. So if there's next function available, you can call it. And then you can print it out. Okay, and TypeScript is okay. Pull it. We can put it in results. When we save the page, we should have 3 pages of results now. And you can put this in a load more click event to just fetch more results. Okay. Then back to a presentation. Yeah, and here's the same thing I just showed you in the VS Code. And this is what I showed you in the VS Code too. So the next page, pagination, here is a little bit more better logic. So you have some kind of get next function that you attach to a click event, and then you can fetch the next results. And you have the reference to a next, which you just replace in every iteration, and then you have infinite loading done. And a big thing about merchandising and search is the facets, the filtering the results. And for that, we have these 2 modifiers called list filters and apply filters. The list filters gets all the filters that are related to the search results. And you can manage these in the KMC side, saying which ones should be excluded, included, and you can also provide parameters to the list filters in here and modify the way it works. And that's the thing, that most of the things can be configured in the KMC in our backend. But if you want to have some really granular thing that happens every time in this case of this search in this place in your UI, it's possible to do with the code, with the SDK, and same with the API. So in this example, we list the filters and we apply Puma and the Nike brand, just like I showed you in the color case in the merchandising. And then we have this FilterManager I was telling earlier. It's a tool that simplifies this a lot, so you don't have to handle the state. So when you create a new instance of the FilterManager, you can get it all from the Klevu core. And then you provide it to the list filters, and then you can use a new function called apply filter with the manager, and then you provide the manager to it, and it will handle everything. So in somewhere in else in the code, you can now toggle option in a click event. You just say manager toggle Puma on or off, and then you will get this DOM events, and you can listen to these events to call the get page content function again. And it will automatically apply this Puma into the filters, and it will list filters once again, and it will apply the new filters happening and all the selection. So you don't have to do anything else. Just toggle it somewhere and call this get page content again, and the state is managed. It's really simple, simplifies a lot. You can get this same FilterManager and use it to list all the facets and the current state of the facets in your UIs. And this is shown I showed in a VS Code. So we have a query function, category merchandising, and that's it. You can get all the data you need for the grid of your e-commerce site. Of course, it has a parameters of which page, where to start, what's the limit of products, and so on as a second parameter over there. Big thing about Klevu is the personalization of the results per user. And you can enable it in any of these in search, merchandising, and in recommendations by just providing this personalization function, modifier function here in the as the last parameter of the search. And that's it. Everything is handled. And when you're using these clicks and events that I was showing you earlier, it will automatically take care of the personalization and sending information to us. And this is, for example, in the EU, if you have to abide the GPDR rules, you can decide in your code that when we're doing the personalization and when we are not. It's really simple. Just add this function or do not add this function into the query. And I think building this SDK, it's part of the community. Being the part of the community of headless and this ecosystem of different systems. So everything is visible, everything is open sourced in this SDK in a GitHub. So anyone can participate, use it, modify it, give us suggestions, report issues, see the progress over there in the GitHub. And we truly try to work over there. So if you have any questions or anything, we are there to help you. And of course, we have the Klevu's own support where you can ask specific questions about your own store, about the indexing data and everything else also. Yeah.
Before I'm just going to jump in here. So it is really cool that this is so open sourced and what we've done here, because I don't know who on the call knows this, but we've recently been accepted into the Mock Alliance, which shows that we are microservice, API first, cloud native, headless, verified. But we also have one of the most advanced AIs on the market for product discovery. So actually making that kind of power open sourced is, I think it's kind of never been done before within our category. So that's really cool. Yeah, I'll pass back to you, Juha.
Yeah, that's right. And well, that was the whole presentation anyway. There's two places, the GitHub page, which have been linked in the chat, and the docs page. It has quite good documentation on how the SDK works and everything else, what works in a Klevu. And if you have any questions, shoot me with the email or Twitter message or anything. I'm here to help you with anything.
Does anybody have any questions now? Anything you want to jump in with? We've got about 6 minutes left on the scheduled time. I've had a lot of people messaging asking for the recording, so I think it might be one of those cases where people rewatch it, practice, and then probably have questions for you.
Yeah, and the live storm is really nice that you can watch them again.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, so all the user management is handled by us, so there's no need to integrate into anything else. We don't track the personal information of the users, just the usage of what they click and what they do in the site. And that's how we get personalization working.
Yeah, so our personalization is behavioral based. So the machine doesn't become biased. It's actually really cool, and it converts quite well.
So has anyone used the SDK already?
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Do you have any comments, Scott? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'd love to hear how you found it. While Scott's typing, I'll let everybody know about the next workshop we have, which is October. So during that workshop, I think it'll be a little bit different to this one, where Juha will go into a bit of detail about what is the SDK, but I think a lot of it will be about doing a live coding example, probably on React based on the poll. So yeah, I hope you can join. And please do forward it on to any developers in your businesses or anyone who you know is building headless front-end experiences. So Scott says BigCommerce suggested it. It was a late addition to the project, so we didn't get an opportunity to implement it in the way I would have liked, but really like it. Okay.
Yeah, and we're on the road of improving it even more. You can see there is a pull request that we are trying to make the server-side rendering even more easier than it's right now, so that you can hydrate the information and get all the latest performance boost from the Next.js and these kind of technologies, and you can implement it in any frameworks. That's really the thing that I want to build.
I'll just put in another link just for people who want to have a look at some kind of headless builds that have been made with Klevu. I'll just put it in the link here. There's some customer examples and kind of what technology they use and some quotes and things from developers. So definitely worth looking at. If there's no other questions, we will close the webinar for now. Thank you so much, Juha. It went largely over my head, but I did try and follow on as much as I could. I specifically liked when you were doing the infinite scroll build. Thanks everybody for joining, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you from me too. So next time, something else. I hope so.
Thanks, Juha. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.